we're painting a lot of things that we can look at now in retrospect. In the time, in the moment, we're working hard, we're working fast, we're not sleeping, we're doing everything we can. When did you become a reliably good collector in the field to where you could really lead other people to do good things, where even if you weren't there, you could read the report and say you missed it? Because it wasn't your first deployment. Because don't even try to tell me that.
I'm not even going to fake the funk on that one, man. All right, so I'm gonna preface this before I go into that. That was actually a really good question. Put me on the spot. My very first deployment, my very first interrogation that I ever did was actually one of the funniest things that, and I tell this story till this day, and I'm getting ready to tell it right now. So when going through school, and I get it in different services, it's different. Not everybody's an interrogator in the HUMINT world, but in the Marine Corps, obviously we get the CI, the counter intel, the HUMINT, and the interrogation role, right? And so you go through school and they teach you how to build your interrogation binder. And, me being a good Marine, I'm like, yes, sir, okay, build it up. And then here it was one day, I get a knock on the door and I'm sitting in the team house and they're like, hey, it's your turn to go interrogate this guy. Yeah, I'm like, ooh, I was 24 years old, man. And I'm not going to lie, I was scared as shit. I was probably more scared than the kid was. I was getting ready to go interrogate. And I walk in there and I bring my binder in there and I'm like, hey, I'm looking through the first page and I'm like, all right, what's your name? Where are you from? Why are you here? What happened? This, that, and the other. And then again, and we're talking through an interpreter as well. This is before I spoke Arabic. And this kid's just looking at me like, you're an idiot, man. And he kept spitting on the ground. It was pissing me off. I'm like, I'm obviously doing something very wrong here. So I called the security guard, the MP, to come back over and say, hey, man, I'm going to step out of the cage real quick. Will you keep an eye on this guy? I need to go talk to somebody. And I called my buddy over. And again, rules were a little bit different back then, right? They're a little looser. Let's just say that I asked somebody to give me, who had expertise on the art of interrogation, to give me a on-job training exhibition, if you will. And I was like, wow, that's how you do it. And so it started from there, right? I will say now to answer your question, I did 2 more deployments after those, the 04 deployment. I don't think in my mind, I always felt like I was a good Marine, a good collector.
Sure.
And throughout each deployment, I did some different things. But where do I think I became competent was when I joined MARSOC in 2009 and got selected for that. Right. Because, coming from a recon background and then, going through everything that I've been through, and then, being in a ship, we can address the 55-day gunfight if you'd like to, but that, I think in my mind, defined me, and at least I think I have respect amongst my peers, but I'm not a glory hound or anything like that. So I'm just out there to save lives and make sure that I come home and make sure that they come home, and that's it, man.
Yeah, but you are a leader. And you have to be able to take junior agents, even if they're senior in rank or whatever, and they transition over into some other job title. I mean, I would read reports and I would say, you got played in this meeting. They're like, how can you know that? I'm like it's your report doesn't indicate that you were prepared,
right?
And were in charge or developed it. Like, I can see it. Like, you didn't do these things. Now you have to go back and see this person, and start meeting one over again.
And you're actually telling on yourself, because the asset didn't put those words into the report.
Right.
You did.
Yeah.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I would say I got a keen eye for that after about 2009.
Okay.
So it took me, a good, 3-4 years of actually putting the reports in. But then when I got put into the chief role as a team chief, so I started, my first role as a team chief was in 2007. And even then, I was still a little bit on the green side. You know what I mean? It was the first time I'd ever done it.
Right.
And thankfully, I had great mentors and Marines around me that could teach me along the way. But about 2009 is when it all really finally clicked.
Okay.
And I think at that point, after doing all the liaison with the different agencies, with all the liaison with the different DoD entities, you just kind of, it becomes like, okay, guys, like we're all here on a different page, but we need to get on the same page. And I believe every entity does it a little bit differently, but you want to try to do it as close as you possibly can, because every collector that's out there, regardless of a Marine, you know what I mean? Every collector that is out there is doing it for the same specific purpose. And that's
no doubt.
Take the enemy off that battlefield.
Take the enemy off battlefield.
Yeah, so that's it, man.